Now, what is the difference? We haven't talked much about this, but since we're going to be watching the time trial category, one of the other things that's very popular in the time trial mode right now is Time Attack, the Red Line Time Attack series, and there's some very distinct differences between Time Attack, which is a race against the clock, and Time Trial here in NASA, which is a race against the clock.
Yeah, the usual, Japanese style, the JDM as we would call it, Time Attack that's been around for many, many years. The traditional format is you go out, one lap, you're just warming the car up, and then you take one flyer, and then you take one cool down. And yeah, that's well and good, but we found that format eats up a lot of track time. And at a NASA weekend, we tend to try and have all kinds of different things going on, time trial sessions, driver's education, and racing. And we just often don't have the kind of, real estate in order to be able to do a traditional JDM-style time attack. So ours is different in that we use the whole 40-minute sessions, or 30, 20, whatever they are, and the drivers have the whole session to be able to try and notch that fast lap.
So the session that is for the fastest of the weekend is the final session, or do they count all the laps leading up to all the sessions that they've done today? They've been out there several times. If somebody in the previous session did a fast time, does that time go forward to the next session?
Yeah, it's the fastest session of the day. So you could set it in the first, the second, the third, or the last, or whatever it might be.
So that being the case, we had a problem. Another friend of mine, I'll throw that disclaimer out there, Chris Rado, who runs in Time Attack, who's got a new all-wheel drive Scion that he's been testing this weekend. He ran in the previous session, did a very fast time, under 2 minutes, I think it was 1:59, but he went off the track, had all four wheels off the track in that session. And what's that do to your time for that session?
Well, that throws out the time for that session, because we really want to emphasize to the drivers that we want them to be driving at a very high level. And we consider in time trial the racing surface is the hard black stuff and not the dusty stuff that's off on either side of the track.
So you can drop one or two wheels, even three wheels, but you can't take all four into the dirt.
Yeah, if you're four off, that means you're way at the edge of control and you're too hot, and you need to back it off a little bit and really think about it.
So he's not, who we were talking about, Chris Rado, I don't see him in this session. We're looking at some other cars in this time trial session, and we'll get an idea of who they are. Now, this is a place where you can bring your own car that's sitting out in the driveway and have a chance to run it, because you're not running necessarily wheel to wheel. You're running against the clock out here in the racing surface.
Yeah, absolutely. And you'll see that most of these cars are not race cars. They're still wearing their license plates. The second car in order is a BMW E36 M3, owned by my good friend Fulton Hayden. I know Fulton drives that car on the street all the time, and knowing Fulton, I suspect he may have even driven it up here from Los Angeles.
Well, they've got the green flag, so they're on a flyer right now. This is the time trial session, the last session of the day, I believe, the last session maybe of the weekend here at the NASA National Championships.
You can see Fulton's car is really pretty. He owns a Royalty Auto Body down in Santa Monica, California, and he took that car and painted it kind of a tribute theme, I think, to the old BMW Motorsports cars. It looks like we've got one of the Miller Challenge Mustangs out there, one of the FR500s. Those are really neat cars, all built up and identical spec by Ford, and really nice, reliable race cars with the 4.6 3-valve motor in it, and they can take them out and have some fun with time trial.
That was a very good series that Ford pulled the plug on. It was a series created here by Miller Motorsports Park and presented to Ford. Ford supported it for several years, and when they pulled the plug on it, and Larry Miller, who died, the owner of the track and the one who loved the racing and created the track as a place to run the Cobras that he had collected. Now they're in a museum, but if you get a little of the history of the track, Larry Miller was a dealer here in the Salt Lake area and was partial owner of the Salt Lake City Utah Jazz. So they looked around. He was a collector of Cobras. They looked around for a place. He was from Colorado. They looked for a place to race in Colorado. They had a place, and that fell apart. They tried to find some land here. They were looking at someplace else. One of the other counties said, no, you don't want that here. And Tualatin County said, yeah, bring it here. And they looked around for a place, and they found this plot of land, bought it, built a racetrack, and suddenly this place has blossomed into a world-class facility. It's actually a very nice place to race, and the community is slowly coming to accept it, and they've got a really great place here at just beyond Sunset Bend. Down there at the end of this long straightaway, there is a rock crawling stadium where they've built a man-made rock crawling. So we have cars here that are going what Griswold was timed at 181 miles an hour, and maybe 100 feet on the other side of where he's going 181, there's competition at 1 mile an hour over the rocks in a rock crawling thing. That's a big rabbit hole compared to what's happening here on the racetrack, but that's how nice this facility is. They do off-road racing here. There is 1, 2, 3, 4. I can see at least 4 configurations for racing here at the Miller Motorsports Park. We're using the outer course, a little over 3 miles for this weekend's activity, and it's a beautiful place, really nice place out in the desert in Utah, just between about a half hour, 40 minutes west of Salt Lake City.
And it is an absolutely world-class facility. The Grand Prix garages downstairs have their own individual bathrooms that are cleaned 3 times a day, compressed air that you can use, heated and air conditioned, and it really is just an incredible facility and a testament to the top flight work that Larry Miller had created here, and it really is just an honor for us to be able to host our national championships here.
They've got the museum over there where it has this automotive collection. They've got a kart facility over there. When I first came here a couple of years ago, they had the credential office was a trailer out in one of those construction site places out in the parking lot. The parking lot was just gravel, and now they have at least a 3-story building there, and they've paved half the parking lot, and it's quite a facility. I was really impressed when I pulled up the other day and said, man, somebody's been busy here.
Incredible place, incredible place.
So we're looking at the times going off the top of the screen there. At least you'll be able to see who is number 1 and so forth in the time trial activity. Sean Holmesher is number 1 in time trial D. Time trial E is Jerry Amani. Time trial F is David Golick. F is Eric Jacobson. These are the top 4. Zung Tran is in time trial E. Now is E, and they are all, is it again the same kind of instance where you start slow and the more additions you make to your car, you move up in category?
Absolutely. It's the exact same scheme as the performance touring category, and actually performance touring was born out of time trial because we at one point had gotten up to 76, 77 classes where we had a lot of classes where it was just 5 guys in one region wanting to do their own small class, and we decided to trim things down, and we had to have some home for them to go. And so we looked at our time trial program and said, hey, wait a minute, we can apply this to racing, and we can get everything in there and create a home for those guys. We went from 70-something classes down to about 30 in 1 year. So there was a little adjustment, and some folks were a little upset, but now we see really good growth in performance touring.
We're looking at number 34.